What up? What up? What up? Welcome to the Underway podcast. First of all, I got to ask my partner before I even give you all the welcome. Brother Hicks, what did you think? And how did that make you feel?
What did I what?
How did that make you feel, brother? Come on, man.
Well, I was
Did you start
energized,
crying?
man. No, I was energized. I was cool. You
You
know what I
was
mean?
energized. It was cool.
Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't anything sad about it. That was awesome.
Well, listen, everybody, welcome to the Underway podcast. I am Donald Anderson,
What's happening? I'm Mike Hicks.
Michael the Voice Hicks. From here on out, you will be known as
Yeah,
Michael the
my
Voice
middle my
Hicks.
middle initial is V.
That's right.
Therefore, we can put that in there.
Michael the Voice Hicks. So we thank you all for tuning in. We thank our new subscribers on our YouTube channel. For those
Absolutely.
that haven't had to get over there, please go over to YouTube, search the Underway Podcast, and you'll find us there. And all you got to do is hit subscribe. Don't cost you a thing. And if you're not
No,
subscribing, you might be. I'm not sure, but you might be a hater. And I know that anybody that listens to us and follows us and watches, I know we ain't got no haters out there. So please, if you haven't had time, please go ahead and just hit subscribe. That
yeah,
way,
just
so much.
subscribe. Let's
Yeah,
grow this. Let's grow this platform because we got a lot of nice juicy stuff to say. I mean, and it does pertain to our everyday lives. We're talking about two brothers who are uh, seasoned. I won't give away the age range, but we're both seasoned. Therefore, this is for y'all. Let's talk some real life stuff here.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got a nice show tonight. It is Throwback Thursday. We're recording this on a Thursday, and me and Mike was talking. Uh, one of the things that we thought that we would do is share, a little bit about our Navy background and, talk about our time in the Navy and all of that. So that'll be our show for tonight. We hope y'all can dig it out there. And
Y'all can see the hats, baby.
yeah, yes, sir. You see that.
Y'all can see the hats.
That's what the N stands for. It stands for Navy. So we're
Not
going to talk a little bit about that tonight.
not Negroes with nonsense. This
Yeah,
is
that was such a
this
layup for you, too.
yeah, this is definitely Navy. The blue and gold, y'all. Blue and gold.
Blue and gold. Yes, sir. But before we get into the topic of our show, I wanted to just hit Mike up. Before we got on tonight, I was looking on social media and I seen that Joe Burrow, quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, was carted off the field with a calf injury. So nobody knows exactly what the cause is. It could be a calf strain. Let's hope it's that and not the Achilles.
Yeah,
Uh,
because wasn't didn't he have a knee injury early in his career? Rookie year, maybe something like that.
he did. That's right. He did have. Matter of fact, he might have got hurt against the Eagles if I'm not mistaken. I remember that game.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's not. Yeah, let's hope for the best because whether you're a fan or not, the NFL is coming up, and we want everybody at full strength. So there are no excuses. So we definitely want, and Buffalo definitely wants Joe Burrow in the lineup because we want to see them in the postseason because they spanked us like we stole something last year. So we owe them.
100%. Nobody wants no excuses. That's just like when we beat Dallas last year. All the people say is, well, Dak Prescott didn't play. We meaning the Eagles. So yeah, nobody want to hear no excuses. If you beat Kansas City, you want to
No, we
beat
want
Green
everybody
Bay.
full strength.
That's right. We want a full strength, no excuses. Nobody want to hear, oh, that's the only reason. Nah, we want your full squad, so nobody can be out there talking about this is why y'all beat us. Period. Point blank. So
Oh, Don, and on our private conversations, there have been whispers of Dalvin Cook joining his little brother here in Buffalo. Whispers, nothing official. I
that's
am
what's
no,
up.
yeah, I'm no beat reporter for the Bills or anything like that. They don't pay me a dime, but nonetheless, there are whispers right now that Dalvin may go to. Well, I know the Patriots were sniffing. Miami was definitely sniffing, and Buffalo, dipped their toe in the water. From what I'm hearing, nothing's official yet.
That's what's up. Well, I've always said if y'all get a running back, take some of that pressure off Josh Allen, so he don't have to keep playing Superman. Like, he can, have a longer career. You don't want him going out like Cam. for them injuries start to pile up on him. So let's hope that
Right.
Bills
And
can
I'm
get
not
it
I'm
together.
not picking him in fantasy this year, so it's all
Oh
good.
yeah, right. You know that's a tale. Ain't it? I can tell you, everybody out there. What's that one show? The how do they say that? That's been determined that was a lie. The lie detector had determined that was a lie. I can most assuredly
Oh,
tell
that
you
was
that.
it's Maury.
Yeah, if Maury, as Maury would say, that was a lie, my brother. Because we all know, anybody out there, your boys know, or everybody in our league knows, if you get a chance to draft Josh Allen, he will be taken. So,
He's going first, and then it's just all free agents after that.
and all I got to tell you is, listen, if I have a chance to draft Josh Allen, I'm taking. So I'm just
Yeah,
letting you know.
well,
They
seeing
say
how
don't pick
you
a they say
seeing how
don't
you
pick a
one of the
quarterback in the
commissioners.
first round. That's a bunch of malarkey.
Listen, seeing how you're one of the co-commissioners, and I don't want any chicanery where I'm picking last and none of that other stuff. So, yeah. But then again, I'm looking in another direction for quarterback. For all you brothers out there in our fantasy league, don't worry about me picking Josh.
I don't know about that. If you don't take Josh, then he might take somebody that's near and dear to my heart. So we'll see. We'll see
Oh,
how this
yeah,
we'll see,
his name is
we'll see how this plays out.
his name rhymes with Waylon.
Don't even try it, brother. Don't even try it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
even try it.
It's
I
all
feel like there
good.
was something else was going on too that was popping in the news. And
Oh man, did you see Mitch McConnell going to his MK Ultra trance last
oh,
night?
dude, listen, I think I don't know, we might not have said it on this show, but we've been saying it for years. We need to get some term limits, man. I don't know what this
Term
idea.
limits, term limits and age limits. That should be the only job or occupation that there is some age discrimination, dude, because
Absolutely
he was
ridiculous.
like, he was like, well, listen, the situation right now is
That's no exaggeration. Just when
there, listen, and
that's literally
somebody
what
had
he did.
one of his advisors had to go, Mitch, you're still on, right? He's like, and what I'm saying is Kentucky Fried Chicken is delicious.
It was crazy.
He was out of his mind. But
He
yeah, it's
glitched.
term limits. And even our president, man, I'm sorry, dude. He's got his fist clenched like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead every time he talks. It's
Mhm.
like Cornholio. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with this dude, man?
Yeah, it's
He's
ridiculous.
too old for the office, man.
100%. And listen, it's not nothing against, it is what it's nothing against older folks, but we all realize,
No,
man, this is any
no.
job you're at. What job do you want to be working at when you're in your 80s? Just think about that.
That's listen,
I
man.
promise you, I don't want to work nowhere in my 80s. I promise you.
It's an addiction, bro. When the
Yeah,
money comes so easy, Don. First of all, working folks will never know anything about that. Okay. So we always set our goal maybe in the 60s, whatever it is that we see on the horizon. But rich folks, man, listen, if you got money, ain't nothing wrong with more in their eyes. So yeah, I mean, but and first of all, these dudes are millionaires.
hmm
They're millionaires. How much more money do you need, or are you that void of outside interest that this is all you can do? It's
it's all
mind
about the
blowing, man.
power, brother. It's about the power.
Wow. Yeah, it's addicting. It's a drug, no question about it.
So listen, so Joe Burrow, we talked about. We just covered Mitch McConnell. And listen, this is this is this next story right here. Before we get into our show, I had to talk about this because I put this in our group thread, and nobody said a thing. Nobody even responded to it.
I don't think I've seen it.
Okay, they had a former, or maybe he's current, Air Force high-ranking officer go before Congress and testify.
Oh, the
Listen
dude
to
with the
this, ladies and
crazy
gentlemen.
eyes,
Huh?
the crazy eye dude
I
about
don't
the
know if the guy's
UFOs.
crazy or what, but he testified that UFOs are real, that we in fact do have or did collect an alien, and
Hey,
that
did you see his
people have
eyes though,
died.
Don? Did you
People
see
have.
his eyes?
I didn't see his eyes, bro.
Yo, you got to see the video of this dude. First
Was
of
it?
all, oh,
Go
dude,
ahead.
he was bugged out. I'm like, is this? Oh, he was like,
Mm,
yes. We did find alien remains at the crash site. Yo, dude, he was bugged out.
What, Mike? Did you just hear what you just said?
What's that?
You just said that an officer. This isn't a movie. This isn't Independence Day. This isn't ET, dude.
No,
I mean,
that was
are
not.
y'all
It wasn't Will
grasping this,
Smith. It
brother?
wasn't Will Smith. It wasn't Will
No.
Smith.
I mean, it wasn't. Steven Spielberg didn't put this together. They are confirming the presence of aliens,
Don, is there any
and
level
we
they
can't even
won't
get
stoop
nobody to
to?
talk about it.
Is there any level they won't stoop to keep us distracted, bro? That's the question.
Come on, bro. So you wait
Dude,
a minute. Are you?
listen, watch the video. Watch the video, and all due respect to any commissioned officer in any branch of the military, this dude looked like he had a couple of screws loose. So just take a look at it. Dude, when I told you the eyes I made, it was literally like that. He looked like some Jim Carrey skit.
So it sounds like you're skeptical.
Listen, the only aliens I've seen are the aliens on my street now, bro.
Oh man, I don't
Guatemalans,
know.
all kind of stuff, dude. It's crazy in my neighborhood now, man. It's all kind of folks I ain't never seen before.
What?
Asylum seekers. They possibly asylum seekers, man. Remember, New York just opened up, in Western New York, in particular where I live. I'm not in metropolitan New York, but yeah, Western New York did open the area to asylum seekers, man. So, dude, I seen some folks walking down the street last weekend, man. Looked like they were Guatemalan, Mexican, whatever it may be. The Middle Eastern people, I'm accustomed to them. You know what I mean? But yeah, these were people who looked like somebody we would see on a weekend pass in Tijuana, bro. Word up.
So those are the only aliens that Mr. Hicks is acknowledging the presence of.
That
That,
man, that's it.
that,
You
that,
know, if they can cut some grass, I'll be the first one to go and hire them.
hey, I know that's right.
No question about it, bro. No question about it.
They may or may not be cutting my grass every week. I ain't gonna say, but it is what it is. But hey, listen, had to throw that out there. Hopefully Joe Burrow out there. If you out there scrolling on your YouTube and you see us, Joe, we hope you're okay. And then
That's right. The
as far
N
as
on
the
our hat
aliens,
stands for no knee injury, Joe. We're cheering for you because I want my Bills to kick you square in your northwestern booty. No,
no,
not
that's right.
northwestern, midwestern. Yeah, he's Ohio boy. So yeah, Berea, Ohio. Love Joe Burrow, man. I just like that dude. I really do.
He's a beast for sure. And
Yeah,
I know Ohio State's kicking themselves that boy didn't go there.
yeah.
So not
Well, no,
not a
where
hit
did he
for sure
go?
that for
Where did he
them.
go first?
Where did he go first? Was it Ohio State or and maybe they weren't
I
gonna play
think
him
it
because they
was
switched?
Ohio State, and he transferred to LSU, I
I believe that's
believe.
what happened. You're right.
Okay.
Fairly certain. Also, we want to shout out one of our shipmates, Rob Anderson, out there. He did correct us on or he corrected me on the Nancy Wilson because I thought Nancy Wilson
Yeah,
played Claire
he corrected
Huxtable's.
you.
He
He
did.
corrected you.
Hey, that's why
Because
I'm up, brother. I'm okay.
I told you. Go ahead. Speak on it.
Nancy Wilson did not play Claire Huxtable's father. He played, and
Mother,
how about this
mother,
tie-in? He played um, Denise Huxtable's husband, who was a what?
Navy
Nice
officer
little,
Joe C.
yes, sir.
Phillips.
A
Joe
Navy
C. Phillips.
officer.
Yeah, Joe C. Phillips.
That's a nice little segue. So Nancy Wilson
Yo, you
played.
did you know he wrote a book?
I had no idea.
Yeah, Joe C. Phillips wrote a book titled "He Talked Like a White Boy."
Oh boy, that's what it's
That's
called.
no jive, man.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say Joe Phillips grew up in, let's say, Colorado. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he really wasn't an urban black guy. So I mean, he talked about his life experiences. Growing up in a more non-melanated environment. I'll just put it that way. So yeah, it was just some of the struggles he went through in college and things like that, just relating to his people. So a very interesting book. I haven't read it, but the title alone. And Joe C. Phillips, you see this podcast, drop that money.
What's up? Yeah, you got a free promo, my brother.
Got a free promo, my brother. But yeah, always liked him though, man. Very, very clean. I just liked him. I liked what he presented on the screen. I really did.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, like I said, that segues us into what we want to talk about tonight, and that's our time in the Navy. So, a lot of you all out there might be asking the question, what was it like being in the Navy? How was it fun? Was it hard? Was it this? Was it that? Guess what? We're here tonight to let you know what our experience was like in the United States Navy. Now, granted, it's been a long time since we were in. I was discharged in 1991, August actually. So it's been 32 years for me that I've been discharged. 32 years actually. On the 31st is when I got discharged. August the 31st. Took my watch off. August the 31st. So I think I'd be Monday. It will be 32 years to the day that I was discharged from the United States Navy. So my man Mike, let's talk about this time in the service, man. Good, bad, and different. What are your just opening thoughts about your time in the service?
Well, first and foremost, I had one relative who was in the Navy. Everybody else, Army or Marines. And the one who joined the Navy was actually my aunt. She was one of my mother's younger sisters. And she would come home on leave. She was stationed in Pensacola, Florida. So she would come home and say, whatever, 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 as far as the Navy was concerned. Um, with me, it was a situation where I was smart enough student, but I didn't want to go to college because I just didn't dig the grind of school anymore. Uh, I grew up in a single parent household, and money was always an issue, and I didn't want to be a burden, especially when I got out of high school and didn't know what kind of. I mean, this is Buffalo in the 1980s, mid 1980s, man. It was very, very economically downtrodden. So just listening to um, the words of my aunt Terry, um, it kind of attracted me. And let's be honest, I was always an ego driven kind of person. So a lot of the peer group that I dealt with they were going off to college. Okay. And all I knew was I didn't want them to leave me in Buffalo when September or late August came. So when it came time for, plans, you run into their parents somewhere at a store or whatever. What you got going on after high school? Yeah, I'm going to the military. So even that kind of it almost equaled being enrolled in college because people's parents saw you as someone who had a direction, a drive and things. So a lot of respect was gained by that. A lot of people who went to college probably should have went to the military. So I heard a few fathers say that, man, you should have took your brother with you, man, your man with you, man. He going to college about to waste my goddamn money. But yeah, um, that's the reason I went in, Don. It was a situation for me to get out of Buffalo, to make my own money and to see some things, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, I would piggyback on that almost, verbatim. I know for me, um, being the youngest of five, and at least I don't know, I want to say at the time probably like three or four of us were still at the house. So I just knew I wanted to get out of the house. That's for me. That was my first thing. And then also, I will say that my first desire to even think about the military came when I was like about 12, and my uncle he used to serve in the United States Air Force. Actually, three of my uncles did, but only one I actually had a chance to see. Actually in the Air Force, and he stayed down the what used to be Andrews Air Force Base, which is down in the D.C. area. So he stayed down there. So in the summertime, my mom would always she would take me down there. They would go see family down south in Virginia. And for some reason, I always got dropped off at his at the Air Force Base. I didn't mind, swimming. There was all kind of stuff to do. It was obviously a nice base, and I just hung out there with him and his family, and it was cool. And I was like, man, this is all right, man. This seems all right. I dug his uniform. I dug the the guards at the gate. That you had to check in with before you get on that thing. I just like I don't know something about it. It just seemed like it was pretty cool. And he didn't seem like he seemed like he really enjoyed it. And he was doing a lot of traveling, Japan, Italy, Germany, and was seeing the whole world. He's one of the kind of uncles I barely saw because he was in the military. and so I didn't really see much of him because he was always traveling. So when it came to be my time as a senior in high school, um, actually it came when I was a junior. Actually, when this is when it happened. I was in an alternative school, and
What?
yeah, I was in an alternative school. I wasn't in like your regular high school.
Why, Don?
I
Why
mean,
were you in
I had
alternative
trouble,
school?
man. I had troubles. I had trouble. So I got,
So the military worked for you.
well, I don't know if it worked for me, but we didn't get to the military part. We talking why I went to the
You're on the
military.
right path. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So anyway, they came to the school. The school I was in, there was like a bunch of kids from a bunch of school districts in. It was for troubled kids, or kids that, for some reason couldn't assimilate in the main population. That's what they told us. Long story short, Army recruiter came, gave us a talked to us about a career in the Army. He said, come by and see me one day if you're interested. I said, you know what? I think I might do that. So on my way to the Army recruiter, there's a little shopping center there. He was in there. But on the way to the Army recruiter, I had to pass the Navy recruiter. So I looks over, I see all this Navy stuff, see the aircraft carrier, I see the water, I see the ships. And one of the recruiters, J.C. Miller, Chief J.C. Miller, uh, uh, got me in a conversation. Must have seen me looking. I went in there, sat down, and the rest is history. Never did make it to the Army recruiter. So from there, I went forward. But I will say this: one of the things that me choosing to go in the military did do, it helped me get myself together in school because they did tell me that you don't graduate and you don't get your act together, you're not going to get in here because they'll look at your record and all that stuff. So I was able to finish that year in that alternative school well, and then after that, they did send me to regular school again, and so
Okay, so its influence really impressed upon you prior to even joining.
absolutely.
Okay,
That
got
was the Army recruiter. That's
right.
take that from him. He was like, "Yo, listen, you want to get in here, you got to straighten up, blah blah blah." You know, truthfully, I wanted to go to the Air Force, but I didn't have good enough ASVAB scores, so
Yeah,
but I
that'll
did.
do it.
Yeah, so I wasn't gonna be no jarhead, aka Marine. That wasn't gonna be me. I wasn't gonna do that.
I'll tell you a funny story about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when I was being recruited for the Navy,
Mm-hmm.
they do your background check. So I had an assault charge that was reduced to youthful offender because I was only 16 at the time. Okay. So they had this processing room. So, whatever branch it was, whoever had issues, they put you in this processing room until the issues got, straightened out or rectified or what have you. So, this Marine walks by. He comes right in the room, in Marine fashion, just, left flank, whatever, the whole
Right.
shot. He goes, "Who is Hicks in here?" So I'm looking, I'm like, that don't look like a Navy uniform. All right, whatever. I said, me. He goes, "Let me talk to you for a second. Step out in the hall." So I go, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "Hey, listen, I was talking to my buddy who's a recruiter from the Navy, and you have an assault charge on your record. We're trying to clear that up." He said, "How about you tell me what happened?" I said, "Well, a dude, I had a confrontation with a dude and I split his head open and he got like 12 stitches, man, and I got the assault charge, dropped down to a youthful offender." He goes, "You want to join the Marine Corps, man?" I was like, "No." He said, "Now, if you tell me you split a guy's head open, and now what I did, Don, and this is how crazy the military ties into it. My uncle Butch, whom I love very much. Matter of fact, he was at my retirement party. He looked like Smokey Robinson. Anyway, he was an MP in Vietnam for the Army. So he had an MP nightstick or baton, right? So having beef with this dude, long story short, over a girl, you're teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go at the girl, the dude start going with her, and she just kind of put some salt in the game. what have you. So he didn't like me, but I knew him prior to, but then all of a sudden he didn't like me. So anyway, Buffalo, wintertime, throwing snowballs at buses was customary. That's what you had to do. And y'all did it in Philly and y'all did it everywhere where it gets snow. You throw snowballs at the buses. One particular time, the city bus pulls up. This girl I used to go with gets on the bus, and this wild dude, another Navy guy in the future named Deion Sawyer, he was our point guard for our team, threw a snowball and hit her right in her face while she's getting on the bus. Everybody's laughing. So, of course, whose face does she see laughing out of the 50 people?
Michael Hicks.
This guy. So anyway, so she just spun that into some salt for a boyfriend. So I started getting threats from this dude, calling. He was calling my house, hanging up on my mother, boom, 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 whatever. So I said, eventually I'm going to have to put an end to this. So the one day we were in school, I tell the young lady, I'm like, listen, don't have your man call my house no more. If he got a problem, tell him to come up to the school and we can talk about it. She tells him, one of my good friends named Teresa Harris. Teresa, I love you. Teresa, back then it was payphones, wasn't no cell phones, Don. So we had a payphone in the lobby. The girl is on the phone calling her boyfriend to come up here to get at me. So this dude brings like two other dudes, like her cousin and another dude. I had my people once Teresa filled me in on everything. Come to find out, I told my cousin, who was my Uncle Butch's son, I said, yo, bring that nightstick up here. So back then, slid it up my sleeve, dude roll up. Yo, man, I heard you supposed to be, doing something to me. I said, whatever you want to do. He lunged and he wore glasses down. So it was James Bond. I slipped the nightstick out of my sleeve that I had in my coat, grabbed it right before it hit the ground and clubbed this dude. Glasses went this way, head wide open, whole shot, boom, boom, boom. That's what happened. So that's where I got the initial assault charge. But since I was a minor, they dropped it to a youthful offender. And the Marines, they creamed for me. They wanted me bad. It was almost like I was a 4-star athlete.
My goodness.
But the Navy won.
I tell you this, I bet this back on that story. I know that girl felt stupid sending her boyfriend to get up there and get his head knocked off.
Listen, and then Don, at the risk of my wonderful wife finding this out, because I hit with our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
That summer after that happened,
mm-hmm.
wound up hooking up with the girl anyway. Dude, listen, I learned a lesson that when I saw that, I'm like, yo, I learned a lesson. Now, I done cracked this dude head open. You were hating me per se, and all of a sudden that summer, I'm hooked up with you again. Dude, I learned that day.
Tells you right there, she was looking for an alpha male, huh? Unbelievable.
Unreal, bro. Anyway.
And so how did that okay, so how did that shift you into the Navy, and why didn't you want to be a Marine?
Because my Uncle Raymond, my father's brother, was a Marine, and he's a twin actually. And he's a what's the boy and girl, fraternal? Yeah, he was a fraternal twin with my Aunt Mona. So he went to Marines, man, and he got all kind of messed up, as far as, shrapnel in him and, boom, boom, boom. He was 100% when he got out of the Marines, out of Vietnam, And then my godmother, Yvonne Evans, was married to a brother who passed away named Kermit Evans. Kermit was a Marine as well. Same thing, shrapnel in his body and, and Kermit was the one, because I wasn't really close with my father, excuse me, or his people, except my Aunt Mona. Kermit was the one that said, listen, don't join the Marines, young blood. They're the first ones in and the last ones out. So, so Kermit was the one that really deterred me from going in the Marines. His son, Keto, wound up going into, his name was Keith Otto Evans. So we used to call him Keto. my god brother, he went into the Marines, to follow in his father's footsteps, and I respected that, no question about it. But Kermit did tell me, man, he said, you joining the military, man, Marines, the first one in, last one's out. Don't do it, man. So that's why I joined the Navy, and I'm very glad that I did.
That's a great story, and that is true, and that's probably the reason I didn't join the Marines either. You just knew that if you joined the Marines, you was definitely going to be on them front lines. I'm fairly certain that my father did tell me that. My father was a
Mm,
Korean war vet. He was in the army, so
there you go.
I knew I didn't want to deal with the army. I don't know. I just didn't. I don't know. It wasn't
No,
really army wasn't appealing to me. Although I was going to go see the recruiter, but you know.
yeah. But another thing about the Army thing, you remember late last year I had shoulder surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
My doctor was a former Army officer. So right before I had the surgery, we were talking about the Army Navy game. Okay. So he goes, hey, how about this? He was cool, man. Dr. Pula. Dr. Pula, shout out, man. Good surgeon and everything. He goes, how about this? He says, Army Navy's coming up. He said, even though it's your right arm, he said, if Army wins, you salute me when I come into your room. I was like, okay. And he goes, I'll salute you if Navy wins. Dude, did you watch that game last year, dude?
I didn't watch it, but I believe you had to salute him. Am I right or wrong?
I got my Mitch McConnell face on.
Because I don't think Navy won that game, bro.
No, they did not.
Yeah,
Dude, they had the quarterbacking in that game. Them dudes couldn't throw a party. They couldn't throw the trash out. It was pathetic. I think I would be a better quarterback for Navy or Army right now. But anyway, so that was a little Army Navy humor. So yeah, when he came into my exam room after the after the surgery, he goes, left hand, Hicks, left hand. So I had to go left hand, man. So I had to
that's funny.
salute him.
It's funny you say that because I actually I delivered to a guy that was a Army colonel. So
All
of
right.
course I had been giving him the business for the last few years, but I couldn't give it to him. I couldn't give it to him this year. So that's
Mm-mm.
interesting. So I was thinking like, as far as our time in the military, like my first, I guess I can remember the whole process. I mean, I can remember the whole process from leaving the house, the recruiter coming to the house at
Right.
I want to say like 4:30 in the morning to get us processed at the MEP station, which I think is the military entrance processing station, somewhere down there, I believe. And I'm not sure what part of the city is that. I want to say I think it's not quite North Philly, but somewhere down there anyway. And they had set us up in some motel. We actually wound up didn't get processed that day. We had to wind up going the day after, but they had processed it into a motel. I remember that joint being a total dump, man. A dump in a bad neighborhood and everything. I'm like, man, this is the best the government can do.
Yeah,
Man,
they ain't giving up. They ain't giving it up.
oh, they had us set up in a real crazy situation. But anyway, yeah. So anyway, we got all, you go through the process. First time I ever got on a plane in my life, flew out to Great Lakes, Illinois, Chicago, North Chicago.
Great mistakes.
Great mistakes, as they call it. And a funny story about that is when I got out there, of course, you're gonna meet other guys that are, we got to catch a bus to go out to the recruiting center. But this
Right.
white dude, I'll never forget it. He said, "Yo, you going to recruiting center too, right?" He said, "Yo, let's get a limo." I said, "What?" He said,
What?
"Yeah." He said, "You can get limos out here for like $50. Let's just get a limo, go there in style." I said, "Man, you must be crazy. You must be out your mind if you think I'm about to catch a limo to boot camp, bro. That's not gonna happen, man. I'm getting on the bus. You can do what you want to do.
That's as the kids say, that's not a flex.
Yeah, that's not a flex. That's pure stupidity. Did you go to Great Lakes too?
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yeah,
think
it
I've
was
heard that.
regional. It was regional. So anyone in the Northeast or the Midwest went to Great Lakes. Anyone in the South or Southwest went to Orlando, and everybody in the West Coast went to, San Diego.
Okay, okay. But what are your memories of the Great Mistakes, Illinois? Remember the crow's nest?
No, I don't remember that. What I do remember is the plane ride at that time. I think I'd flown I only had you by one. I'd flown once prior to leaving Buffalo and going to Illinois. So we got there, and of course they pick. The bus picks you up. Boom, 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 boom. Now, granted, I had a late flight, so when we pulled up the Great Lakes, it was nightfall. And so you see those gates, and I'm sitting there going, "Are you serious, man? I signed up for this. I could have sold weed and played junior college football or something, man. This is anyway. You drive through the gates, man. Get in there for a little bit of processing. I think we wound up getting there like midnight. So we got to hit our racks at like 2. At 4, here comes the steel garbage can down the barracks. Drop your socks and grab your cocks. Excuse me, ladies, if you're watching. This is military jargon. Yeah, man. So it was an absolute like, why did I do this? Because nobody told you about that. People who are in the military tell you about their time in the military. They don't tell you anything about boot camp. Most people don't. So yeah, my first impression was I messed up. What
Let me
about
say this.
yourself?
If Chief J.C. Miller, if you're out there, you're watching this, Chief J.C. Miller, I want you to look at the camera. And because you told me before I went in there, they couldn't cuss at us. You told me before I went in there, they couldn't really yell at us.
That's the recruiter said that?
That's what the recruiter said to me. It's not like
POS, a POS recruiter.
Yeah. He told me all kind of stuff. He had me thinking I was going to Club Med. I was thinking, well, yeah, I'm definitely going to go to the Why not go to the Navy? Why I'd be a fool if I don't go. It sounds like it's going to be all right.
Why would you not join the Navy?
Yeah, why? I'd be a fool if I don't go here. Well, just like Mike will tell you, as soon as late processing, all that, man, you get there late at night, the whole 9. Man, 4:00 in the morning, just like he said, here come the trash can, and they call you everything, and I do mean everything in them days. They call you everything but the child of God, boy.
Except the child of God.
Yeah. Cuss you out up and down. I mean, cuss you out. MFer, bleepity bleep. But anyway, Chief Miller, you do see, I want to say you're a bleeping liar. All right. You're a liar. Had me thinking that it was going to be sweet, man. Hope you're all right, Chief Miller. But I'm just saying, if you ever happen to see this, bro, come on, man. Recruiters, I think nowadays, I've watched some YouTube stuff on here of Navy boot camp in 2022, 23. Nowadays, man, it is so easy. It's so different. And I don't believe, like nowadays, I don't think they can treat you like they treated us. I mean, I had a black operations specialist, first class, OS1 more. Boy, always wore shades. I don't care what time of day it was. It could be nighttime. He come in them barracks with his shades on. Couldn't tell him nothing with his white suit hat on. And we had another guy, AO1, I think AO1 Brownfield. We called him the Iceman because back in them days, everybody wanted that Top Gun Iceman look with the the buzz cut. He had on his shades too. These guys, you couldn't tell these guys nothing. AO1 Brownfield won't get up in your face with his bad coffee breath and stinking of whatever cigarettes and everything else, get in your face and just call you anything. Now, let me just give you my first boot camp story. We had a boy that told him we got, this is after, it's a process to learn how to march, to learn how to, dress left, dress, all that stuff you see. Those are my non-military people out there. It's a process, man. It takes time to learn how to do that. You just don't come in there knowing how to do this stuff. But anyway, we had this one dude, some middle American out there, and the dude had to use the bathroom. So you got to remember, this is hot. I mean, like I said, I went in the summertime. This was hot. It was probably like, probably close to 100 degrees with these hot, stinky dungarees on. That's what we used to wear back then. Its whole uniform is different now. Dungarees are basically jeans, heavy old bell-bottom jeans, like something from the 70s. So my man said he had to use the bathroom, because he literally he couldn't even march correctly. So they tell us to stop. Iceman gets up in his grill, and he's like, "What the H is wrong with you?" He's like, "I gotta use the bathroom, sir." Yeah, hey, you gonna hold it? Yeah. That's how they talk. You know how they do. They try to get their voice like Wolfman Jack and everything like that. And just cussing and fussing at the dude. Next thing you know, another CC comes over. That's what they call them in the Navy, company commanders. We don't call them drill instructors. Another company commander came over. They did the double bubble thing on one on this side, one on that side. They were just yelling and screaming at the dude. The next thing I know, I smell the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. All I see is this man have full on diarrhea runs coming down his pants. And I'm in back of the dude. And I started to get sick. Now, why am I the one to get yelled at when this guy has diarrhea in hot, steaming summer? So yeah, that was my that was my welcome to the Navy moment. You know what I mean? Interesting moment. I don't even remember that dude getting yelled at. I'm sure he did get yelled at, but I just remember them yelling at me because I was about to throw up because the dude was right in front of me. So yeah, that was that was how it is. You know, boot camp was a time and it was designed for them to see if they could break you. And listen, a lot of guys got broke. A lot of guys got broke.
What time of the year did you arrive in Illinois, Great Lakes, Illinois?
Summertime, bro. You paying attention?
What month? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's August. So I got there in
Yeah,
August.
so because I got there September 16th, 1985. And if you know anything about the Midwest, it's still cooking
Absolutely. I was out there
in
getting cooked,
September.
you know, and this dude, like I said, he out there pooping in his dungarees, made a brother sick. So, you know, I hear some of these podcasts, like sports podcasts, they might ask a guy, what was your welcome to the NFL moment or your welcome to the NBA moment? That was my welcome to the Navy moment. Do you have a welcome to the Navy moment, Mike?
Who, me?
Yeah. What was your welcome to the
Let
Navy
me
moment?
see.
Or what you
Let
just
me
call it that boot camp when they threw the trash can? You
Um,
had that one.
no. I had my welcome to the Navy moment in San Diego when I went underway for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, because being an athlete, the boot camp stuff was no different than, you know, two a days or running winter sprints in basketball or, you know, getting, ran to death in track or what have you, any of those sports I participated in. But when I got to the ship, first of all, not knowing what to expect, I'm like, okay, well, what's this going to be like? Because, excuse me, you're looking at the commercials. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the commercials look, they're having a blast, man. Now, I went in without a job, and you know about this. You go in without a job, you go to deck department. So what you're basically is for all the civilians out there who've never been in the military. An army, you would be an infantryman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the Navy, you're a boatswain's mate, a deck ape. That's how derogatory it was at the time. Air Force, I don't know, maybe just a simple airman. Marine, a grunt. So anyway, yeah. When I got to, the William A. Stanley on, January, what was it? January 6th, 1986. Um, it was an absolute shock to me. Because I'm thinking you're gonna do military air quote shit. It was like, dude, take this never dull, which if you party people don't know what
Never dull. Oh my God.
if the party people don't know what never dull
I
is,
literally smell it. Thank you.
yeah, no problem, bro. So this is for the party people out there. So on a ship, and for all you hoi polloi that have been on a cruise ship, okay. So those lines that keep you from falling over, on the end of them they have buckles, and in the Navy they're brass buckles. So of course, when you go out to sea, it being salt water, condensation comes up, turns those green. So when you return to port, which is where you park it, I'm speaking all this civilian and Navy shit. So when you park the ship on 32nd Street Naval Base, you have to take this Neverdol, which is cotton. It's almost like a stuffing of a pillow, but it's very, what would you say, oily, Don?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oily.
Oily.
Mm-hmm.
You take that stuff with your bare hands, not any rubber gloves. They don't care nothing about that shit. Take a chunk is out of a can, almost like a coffee can. You take a chunk of it, scrub the green areas, it strips it. Then you take a dry rag, wipe it off until it's shining like brass, like my beautiful color skin. So that's what you had to do when you pulled into port before you even left the ship to go on liberty. Now,
Hmm.
they didn't tell you none of this stuff at the recruiter's office downtown Philly, downtown Buffalo, downtown Detroit, downtown Memphis, anything. So yeah, that was my welcome to the Navy moment, bro. It went beyond boot camp. Boot camp was a joke. Being a former athlete, that wasn't nothing. It's mind games. The greatest coaches I ever had did that. You know, John Fusco, uh, uh, who was my high school coach? I forgot his name. Anyway, so yes, I had so
Wow.
many coaches play
Sorry,
mind games.
coach.
Yeah, that I oh Jerry. Anyway, he was a Jewish fella.
He
What
was
was
your
his
head
name?
coach?
Rosenbaum.
Oh, okay.
Jerry Rosenbaum, who was an all-city athlete in his day, and Dan Quietek, who I was more close to because I was a defensive player. He was our defensive coordinator.
Hmm.
So yeah, so some of the coaches that used to be, back we talking the 80s now. So where they
Hmm.
can call you a okay, we on social media or what internet. They can call you a faggot. They can call
Hmm.
you a pussy. They can call, you know what I mean? And we were bred that those words didn't really bother us because we knew we weren't faggots or pussies. So when I got to the military, boot camp was a joke. Somebody calling me a maggot or a worthless worm or the shit on the bottom of their shoe. Dude, this ain't shit. When I got to my duty station, that was the problem. I'm like, this ain't shit I don't see nobody rubbing no brass buckle with some pillow stuffing with oil in it to go on liberty. So yeah, that was my come to the Navy moment, bro.
Wow. That's definitely interesting. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I heard somebody coming in. I had to make sure who it was. I looked at my phone here. I said, okay, here we go. It seems like every time we start to record, it's I feel like somebody coming into the house, but it's okay. But yeah, just continuing on, in terms of I guess our boot camp period, our boot camp experiences were definitely different because mine was like ridiculous, man. I can't say I was the most independent person coming up. I was the youngest in the family, so a lot of things that my older siblings had to do, I didn't have to do. So boot camp was like a wake up for me. Um, but nonetheless, the thing that caused me the most trouble in boot camp was probably this thing we had called you had to take various tests in boot camp, and I became what is known as a DC Dink, which is damage control. So that, when you're in one of the things they teach you in basic training is you got to know the different types of fire, alpha, uh, I think delta, uh, what is it? Is it Charlie one? I forgot. It's been so long. Anyway, electrical fire, materials fire, fuel
Alpha
fire, those type of
Bravo
things.
Charlie Delta.
Yeah, all those things. Yep.
Yep.
You see why I failed. So anyway, I became a DC dink and I got what they call as mode, which basically what as mode means. Say I was on slate to graduate in October because I got as mode. They sent me back to my daggone booger belt days, man. It was the most depressing thing. At that point, I was ready to go home. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, you know what, y'all can send me home. But I said, screw that, because ain't nothing at home waiting for me. So I got buckled down and I wound up passing that test. And instead of leaving in October, I left the night before Thanksgiving. So, but yeah, that was just one of them things. I mean, if we were to sit here and talk about, you know, uh, different things and that pop out to you during our time in the military, that was for me like my first experience. But I definitely remember getting to, San Diego and the whole never dull thing. And I too had to go through first division, as they call it. It has all kind of different names. Some people call it first division. Some people call it OD division because deck division. So yet another thing that my recruiter didn't tell me about. But I will say this: my recruiter, I actually did. I was lined up to be a chef. I was going to go to cooking school. My dad talked me out of that, and I still get at my dad today for that. My dad didn't want me to go into the service to be a chef because he said that's all they want to do. At that time, they would want to make every black person a chef in the service. He said, "Don't do that. That's all they want to do. They want you to be. They think everybody black got to be a chef in the Navy." So, yeah, might be an old school mentality. I'm sure there was some truth to that, But funny enough, in our on our ship, I feel like in our cooking department, it was probably the majority Asians, Filipinos that were in the cooking department. Probably had a few brothers in there, but not too many. I could probably count like maybe two or three, maybe two or three, maybe three or
What
four.
are you talking about? Maybe Neely,
Neely,
my man.
Walker,
Best
Walker.
best man in my wedding, as a matter of fact, from Birmingham, Alabama.
Yep,
Um, Barnes,
yep,
who's from Detroit,
yep.
and you
Walker
had MS1 Walker.
from Compton.
No, MS1 Walker was from no Walker was from Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah, he looked like Biz Markie.
Oh yeah. You're right. You're right. I'm talking about Stone.
You talking about Stone? Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
about
Stone.
Stone.
Yeah,
Was that the
Stone.
one Gardner called Lady Booty?
Nah. This is old head brother. Like I said, he was old head. Hard. Nah, you don't. This dude you talking about? He was a little younger than me. He came in after I did. I forgot that dude's name. Sorry,
Our
Lady
former
Booty.
shipmate Sean Garner, who was from New Orleans, used to call him Lady Booty.
Shout out to you, G man. Thank you for prescribing too, my brother. We appreciate you,
Lady Booty.
Lady
You know how they
Booty. Nah,
talk down there in New Orleans.
nah. Stone was a little. Nah. Stone was like a second class
Stone's from LA, right?
LA. Yeah. I believe
Yeah,
he
I
was
heard
from
about
LA.
him. Right.
Yeah. He was a cool dude though.
Lady Booty.
Yeah, but you never know. I could have been on the Food Network. I might have my own chop show. You never know. But unfortunately, I went to Deck Division. I wound up staying there for my entire 3 year deployment or 3 year enlistment, and it was all right. It is what it is. Mike went on, I believe, to be a torpedo man.
Yeah, I did.
So
I
I don't
was a
even know.
10
I don't even know what
because,
torpedo men do.
hmm,
What do torpedo men do?
what's the first part of the damn name you just said?
Oh, come on, man. Let the people know what a torpedo man. Know. People don't even know
All
what a
right.
torpedo is out there, man. Come
Okay.
on.
So a torpedo, like in, let's say the cartoons, is very easy. You look at Looney Tunes, they do the World War II cartoons, submarine underwater, fire something off blow up another submarine. That's a torpedo. So um, I was in a division with the FCs, which are fire control technicians. They were the ones who did the upper deck guns. So we were in the same division. So I became a TM first and foremost because of my, how can I say, melanated pride. It was the only all black division on our ship. You had TM1 Jones, Sylvester Jones. You had TM3 Victor Freeney. You had me. You had, I was a TM3, TM3 Jeff Rogers, and TMSN Torpedoman Seaman Recruit Frank Bradley out of New Orleans. So we were the only all black division on that ship. And I take, particular pride in that because as I moved about the military and understood the dynamic for us to be in an all black division and headed by a senior enlisted man was very important to me and very, very prideful to me. So yeah, I became a torpedo man. And that was one of the things that attracted me to that rate. So in the military, particularly the Navy, a rate is your job. Your rank is how high you've gotten. So rank, rate. So that's how that was. So I wound up maxing out as a torpedoman third class uh, in the U.S. Navy.
What's up? So now you all know what a torpedo man is. So those are the guys that go after the
That
submarines.
job is obsolete now, Don. I
Oh, I
saw a
know that.
young man. I saw a young man a couple of years ago who came to our job, the job that I retired from. And he had a cousin there, so he was in town for leave or whatever. So he was in the lobby before HR kind of allowed him in, And we're talking. He said, "Yeah, man, TM is an obsolete job, man." He said, "We don't have that job anymore in the military." So that's crazy. I never thought that would happen, considering we still have submarines we have to battle against. But
Yeah.
anyway,
What I think what they
I'm
might do is they might lump it into another rate.
yeah, I'm thinking too much.
Yeah,
Anyway,
maybe like a gunner's mate. They probably just lump it in with that because I know that they got rid of quartermasters too. Quartermasters are the ones that their job was basically to chart courses and use maps and stuff like that. But that, if you think about it in 2023, that kind of job is really obsolete. I don't even know if we needed them back then. I think they were just back. I don't even think they was really working. If you ask me, this brother hungry tonight, ain't he?
mm-hmm.
So
Listen,
as for
I
me,
had to mute my mic because
as for me, oh my goodness. Okay.
hey, that's a wonderful thing about social media, man. You're dealing with real people and real issues. I'm hungrier than an Ethiopian. Go ahead and talk, brother.
So as for me, my thing was, uh, why did I wind up becoming a bosun's mate? I think the reason that I became a bosun's mate uh, was first and foremost because I did get in a little bit of trouble in the military. So I wouldn't seen the captain a few times. Of course, in the military, we don't have what you would call like regular. What's the word I want to say? You don't have you don't get arrested. You know, what they do is they send you to what they call captain's mess. So I went and seen the captain a few times, gotten some silliness, a couple fights here and there, and I feel like that kind of messed my ability to get out of that first division. But that's not even really why I stayed there. Uh, Another guy who was already a petty officer in the Navy, that's what we call our, as you move up in the enlisted ranks, you start off as a seaman recruit, then you go to a seaman apprentice, then you go to a seaman, and then you become third class petty officer, followed by a second class petty officer, then first class, and then you go to become a chief, senior chief, and you top off as a master chief. Anyway, uh, I had a fellow that was a third class, which is when you make third class in first division, you basically, you know, you tell everybody else what to do because you're always going to have a bunch of guys coming in that fail out of like A schools or whatever reason, gets sent to first division. So anyway, this fellow somehow or another talked me into doing that, and so I decided to do that. And I also too was able to get out as a third class. So that's why I did do that. It wasn't bad, you know. Uh, there have been guys I know guys that stayed in first division never even got out. They got out as seamen. They had no desire to move up. They just wanted to get out. So, like I said, it's not one thing I can say about my time in the military is that I actually, and then before I get off this one point, I want to say that I did think about reenlisting. In fact, I was going to go to the USS Cleveland. It was an amphibious ship in San Diego, and I had the paperwork already. I was about to go down and see the enlistment coordinator. I don't know, something just told me, nah, man, don't do that. It's time to get out. So I went and seen the enlistment coordinator. Told him, yo, this ain't for me. I'm getting out. He couldn't believe it. Had all the paperwork, everything. All I do is sign it. I said, nah, I'm not, I just don't want to do it, man. Time to get out.
That was God when you think about it, brother.
Oh, 100%. Because if had it
That
been
was
by me
God when you think
staying, I
about
know
it
wouldn't be here
because
right now.
yeah, I'm a firm believer that where we are is where God appointed us to be in this
100%.
present day and time. You understand what I'm saying? So as much as you and I may complain about this or that, listen, this is our appointed time that God put us in. Okay.
Yep.
So um let me let me segue to how the Navy is continuing to help me. You
Okay.
mind?
Go for it.
Okay, so as Don had mentioned in our last podcast, or even prior to that, our Spotify podcast, that I'm in the education system. So I applied for a job with this program called Say Yes, which pays for uh, young people's college tuition and trade schools, whatever they want to do. when they graduate from Buffalo Public School. So I applied for one job, right? One job. So when I was interviewed for that particular job, they said, well, if this one doesn't work out, we have two more positions that we'd like to interview you for. I'm like, okay, that's unusual, but nonetheless, Um, so I'm saying that to say this. The military allowed me to attain my college degrees. Okay. As Don can attest to, um, the military pays my mortgage or Don's mortgage. You understand? Because of the disability, the injuries that we sustain in the military, the U.S. government has taken care of us. Okay. So back to my job search thing. The one job that I wanted and I applied for, they said there were no more openings in the Buffalo Public Schools for that job. However, with your military background, work experience, and education, okay, and all three fingers that I'm showing you are attributed to, first of all, my family, my upbringing, and second of all, the military. They go, we want to interview on August 4th for another position, which is a career coach. Now, I really felt that was the best job for me.
Mhm.
Having worked 32 years at a job and retire in the industrial situation, playing both sides of the fence, worker and union official, with the education and military background, there's nothing I can't offer these kids, as far as advice and guidance. So U.S. military, have nothing but love and pride and admiration and appreciation for it. Okay. And so for y'all those suckers out there to see this and talking about, hey, he cooning or he caping up for the United States. Listen, the United States pays me on the first of every month for my service. And that's not a flex, that's a fact. Don, go ahead.
Hey, he is right. And one thing I will say that when you talk about how did it benefit me, he didn't even mention like when you go for like you talked about the GI Bill and getting educational assistance and things like that, but also when you go to buy a house, they have something called the VA loan, which basically guarantees your loan. So our process is even different when we go for a house. So this guy's killing me tonight, man. The VA loan thing, is definitely beneficial. Oh my goodness, the VA loan thing is absolutely
Listen, man, I'm not going to duck off the camera to eat potato chips because, first of all, we're dealing with a
we are
human
live,
audience.
ladies and gentlemen. We are live. Potato
Listen, we're
chip,
humans, bro.
shit talking,
And that's going to be the thing.
Navy veterans.
That's going to be the thing that grows our audience. They're like, that Don and Mike, those guys are humans.
Oh yeah, we definitely human, brother. No
No
aliens on
question
this
about
podcast. We all
it. Yeah,
real, baby.
absolutely.
Yes,
Dude, I'm
sir.
hungry.
Man,
I'm hungry as a damn wolf. I don't know why, but anyway. Anyway, go
that's all
ahead,
right.
bro.
That's all right,
But
brother.
yeah, you're talking about the VA loan, right?
Benefits, VA loan, all those
Have
material,
you
all
used
the
it yet?
oh oh yeah, I used to get my house. But
Okay. See, I've never used it. This is the
okay.
first time my wife and I are looking for another house. This is the first time I'll execute it, man. So yeah, they've been very, very helpful. Line me up with realtors, line me up with, dude, it's
They hook you
listen,
up.
they hooked me up, man.
Yep. They give you that certificate, right? And just tell you to go find your loan, your lender.
Certificate of eligibility.
Right, right.
Yep. I
Yeah.
got that. We're rocking and rolling, bro.
And then we didn't even talk about healthcare. That's another thing. You talk about benefits, you got healthcare for the rest of our lives. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So, I there's and so you talk about those type of things, but also the benefit, to me is the brotherhood that you have when you join the military. Um, it's a brotherhood, much just like, guys when they join a fraternity, they, particularly on, HBCUs and, some guys go, Alpha, Kappa, Omega, whatever the sisters,
Omega,
yeah,
Sigma, all
yeah,
that guy.
Sigma, all that stuff. You know what I mean? And then the guys have their brotherhood through their fraternity. It's the same way with us in the Navy. We have a brotherhood, and the thing about it is, you don't necessarily even have to have served with a person. Like me and Mike are proof of that. We just were on the ship, and through our alumni of being members of the Stanley and being on that Marco Polo group, that's how we came to be. But what I was going to say is that you see a brother out there or another Army guy, another Marine, another Air Force,
Brotherhood,
Navy.
man.
It's a
It's a
brotherhood. Don't
brotherhood.
matter who they are. Don't matter what color they are. I mean, it transcends, the foolishness of the world. That's one thing I can say. You could be sitting down. If they see you got a Navy hat on, they're going. A fellow service member is always going to come and talk to you. I've never put on a hat to get a free lunch, or but I've had it happen to me because I had on my hat. Somebody
That's
just
right.
wants to be nice and just say, hey, I got you. Thank you for your service. So, you know,
There you go. You're
there's
absolutely
a
right,
pride
man.
that comes with being in the military that, nobody can take that from you. You know what I mean? No matter what you say, you
And
serve
Don,
our
let's
country.
face it, man. Let's face it. My HR manager, Jim Galamowski, told me, he said, Mike, I admire you, man. He said, because I couldn't have done it. He said,
Hmm.
not everybody can do that.
Yeah, 100%. Not everybody can do it. You know what I mean? They might get through the one phase. They might get the boot camp. But listen, I know a lot of guys
Not
didn't get out
everybody
of boot
can do
camp.
it, bro.
Let me tell
Not
you, brother.
everybody can do it.
Listen, I went to boot camp with like 4 or 5 guys that I knew from my hometown. I'm the only new dude I know that made it up out of that joint. You hear me? They was walking
There you
around
go.
in tennis shoes about a month into that thing. And
There
you
you
see a
go.
guy walking around with tennis shoes on in Great Lakes. I got news for you. He's going
You're
back
about to
home.
get put out.
Yeah, he about to get put back. So it is what it is.
He's a
Tennis shoes is a
he's a
surefire way to
he's
let
a
you know guy's going
he's
home.
a yeah, no, but the shower shoes, right?
Huh?
The
Nah, it was
shower
tennis
shoes
shoes.
are
Nah, tennis shoes. They was marching
no, it
around
was
in their
shower
Nikes.
yo, it was shower shoes when I was in there, dude.
Oh wow, that's really disrespectful. Yeah,
Yeah, that's really telling. That's saying you like the special education of the military.
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, brother, that's crazy. So yeah, that's that was
You the short bus of the military, bro. That's how it
yeah,
was when I was. It was just a cruel situation.
100%. Now you said you had some numbers about like what decreased recruitment and why you were talking about something like that. I guess.
Okay, well, let me throw on my specs. I usually don't like to wear them because of the glare of my Hollywood lighting that I have, but in any event, okay. Here's an article from 2022 about the decrease in all of the armed forces recruiting enrollment. Okay. Um, Let me start here. The trend will most likely continue as the overall military shrinks and familiarity with the service keeps dropping, says the officials. In 2021, the Army study found that 75% of Americans ages 16 to 28 knew little or nothing about the military. This recruiting crisis is like a slow moving wave coming at us, said one senior defense official involved in the recruiting and personnel issues. As the military has gotten smaller and the public has gotten less and less familiar with those in uniform, it has grown. And COVID accelerated the whole process. So, a Pentagon spokesman declined to comment. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, Don, before I go on, anything you got to say about that?
I mean, it is what it is. So
Speaks for
it's
itself, right?
yep, speaks for itself. It's the times we live in. So
Okay. Now, this article was from September of 2022, all right, but I'm sure it's still relevant less than a year later, okay?
hmm
The title is This Year's Numbers So Far. The Army has met about 40% of its enlisted recruiting missions for the fiscal year 2022, with just over 3 months left in the fiscal year, which ends September 30th. The final quarter, the summer, is typically when the services recruit the most candidates following high school graduation. Okay. Space Force. Now, let's be honest. The first time I heard about this was from Donald J. Trump. How about yourself?
yeah, he created it,
There you go. Okay. So,
but we
Space
need it
Force.
because we now have aliens, so that it's appropriate.
This is true. And we need another Will Smith to punch an alien and say, "Welcome to Earth," with an F on it. But anyway,
North
okay, so check
Philly,
it out.
baby. North Philly.
Oh, that's a Philly dude.
North,
I'm sorry.
even though he's from West.
Whatever. Okay, so check it out. Space Force will also likely make its goal, according to U.S. military officials, but the newest branch of the military looks like it only has about 500 guardians this fiscal year. That's what they call. They're not called sailors, soldiers, Marines, airmen. They're called guardians. I did not know that until I read this article.
Well, listen, people would rather be on social media nowadays. I hate to say that. I'm talking about our younger folks. People don't have,
Right.
first and foremost, when we joined the military, the major threat was Russia. Not
Absolutely.
Russia. It was Russia, but it was actually the Soviet
No, it
Union,
was
as they were
Russia.
called.
It was
Yeah,
Russia. Yeah,
the
the Cold
Soviets,
War was about
Cold
Russia.
War, the threat of World War III was ever looming.
Hmm.
When we were in, we were tracking them, they were tracking us. I'm sure when you were a torpedo man and you were doing your sonar thing, that you guys were tracking
Russian
them Russian
subs.
submarines. When I was up top on lookout, I was tracking the jets and the Russian ships and all that kind of stuff. So that was always the threat of World War III until
That's right.
of course they
Through Russia.
disbanded.
That's
Say it
right.
again.
Okay.
Say it again. What
I
did
got
you
some
say?
more. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Now, what was the last thing you said?
No, I got some more stuff as far as
Oh,
the
go
other
ahead.
branches. Okay. The U.S. Air Force, on the other hand, has recruited roughly 100 times as many airmen, about 50,000. But this is currently more than the 4,000 below where it should be at this point of the fiscal year. While the Air National Guard and Reserve are unlikely to meet their goals, the active duty are taking it week to week, according to a senior U.S. military official. We are hopeful that the active duty will meet our goal, hopefully, but not certain, the official said. The last time the Air Force missed the goal was fiscal 1999, and the last time before that was 1979. So
Wow.
you're talking about a 20-year gap that the Air Force was still getting folks like it ain't no thing. Because it's the most civilian based military branch that we
That's what I was gonna
have.
say. To be in the Air Force is like, you're barely in. I mean, I know a guy that was in the Air Force, and I couldn't even tell
Yeah,
you he
they
was in.
chilling. They
They
was chilling.
he stationed down
Okay.
here in Dover, Delaware. My man had it good. Trust me.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
So last but not least, the greatest branch to grace this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Put your finger on that N, my man. All right, here we go. Navy officials who have been using the summer movie Top Gun Maverick to try to attract.
That's great.
Hey, listen. Hey, Top Gun producers, I ain't laughing at you. But when I was actually in the real Navy, the
Mm-hmm.
original Top Gun came out, you know, and the beach volleyball scene, let me just say, y'all pour some sugar on that. But anyway, okay, here we go.
Hold on. While he's
Oh,
talking about that, you all should also know that when Tom Cruise puts on his jacket, that is our ship that's on his jacket. If you look
our
closely, it
patch,
says the USS William H.
William H.
Stanley.
Stanley. Our patch is on
Yes,
Tom
indeed.
Cruise's jacket in Top Gun
In both movies, the first one and
in
this
both
last
movies.
one.
Oh, last one too?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Puts
I didn't check
puts
it
that
out
puppy back
because
on and goes to teach them kids. The Stanley is in the house.
ooh, we.
Ain't that crazy?
It is crazy. And
The Stanley is in the house.
what's even crazier is none of them city kids gonna give a damn about what I'm talking about.
Nope.
Nope. Anyway, back to the story. Top Gun Maverick to try to attract recruits say they hope they ultimately meet their active duty and overall strength goals. The active duty Marine Corps is likely to make its recruiting goals this year. Can you believe that?
Mhm. They said they're going to make it.
They are going to, okay? The Marine is in charge of manpower. However, recently told Congress that 2022 is arguably the most challenging recruiting year since the inception of the all volunteer force. The Coast Guard is lagging behind in its active duty numbers this year. It met 80% and 93% of its goals for the reserves and officers, respectively, but has filled only 55% of its target of the 4,200 active duty enlistments. Okay, so those are the stats on all four of the
Tell me the
branches.
navies again.
The Navy again?
Yeah, what did you say? The Navy met their goals?
No. The Navy, they didn't give a number. They just said Navy officials who have been using the summer movie
Okay.
Top Gun Maverick to try to attract recruits say they hope to ultimately meet their active duty and overall strength goals.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
bro. So it's real out here. It's a cold game.
Yeah, it is a cold game, and it makes you wonder. With this whole thing now with Ukraine and Russia, and we talked about it last week on the last show. When you start talking about how you know there's always a plan B. So they saying if we can't get you to join the regular way, yeah, don't make us bring back this draft process because they try to drag us into World War III.
Listen,
I'd hate to see that happen though.
I'm all
Honestly.
for the draft, Don.
Oh yeah.
And I'll explain why. Being in the school system,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm all about reinstituting the draft based on the following fall that you graduate from school.
Mm-hmm.
If you are not in college or gainfully employed, you're eligible for draft.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what happens is, and you've seen it in your life and in my life and all that. We went to, the military. We got out of the neighborhood, got out of the state, got out of the region. You come back on leave and you see some of your friends that you love nearly and dearly doing the same thing.
Yep.
And you're only 2, 3 years out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here I am, 56 years old, man. I saw a friend of mine who had basically never left his block.
Wow.
Don, I said 56.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You understand what I'm saying? So, um, besides, I mean, there's so many factors that play into it, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate to have a great tribe of people around me,
Mm-hmm.
very encouraging people, very, uplifting people, very supportive people. Not everybody has that. And in a lot of cases, the military is a lot of people saving grace, man. And you and I are not doing recruiting for the Navy because they don't pay us a dime. Let's
Mm-hmm.
understand that. But when it comes to the love for our people and any young people or any people who are lost, we're telling them what the Navy did for us. We're not promoting the Navy
Right.
because they don't pay us a dime. Wink, wink, sponsors. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, hundred
I'm just
percent.
telling you what it did for me, and Don's telling you what it did for him. Matter of fact, we didn't even discuss what it's done for us.
Mm-hmm. Well, we did. We did. We talked about the benefits.
Well, pretty much. But I mean, look at you. What do you do for a living?
I'm a postal worker, United States postal worker. Work for the
Was
post
that
office.
was that not in favor of you when you
Oh yeah,
did,
100%. I
took the
got
exam?
back in the day when when the USPS was a viable service and a great option. Um, that's another show for another day. But things have changed. Let's just say that. But there was a time, when the requirements to get into the post office were very stringent. You just couldn't just walk in there. You had to get fingerprints. You had to get background checks. You had to, they were going to check you out. They were going to check your references, all that kind of stuff. When I joined,
Hmm.
20 something years ago. So things are a little different now. The economy has made things different. But anyway, back to my point. Yes, when you're a member or you're a veteran, you do get a veteran's preference in terms of points on your test. When they used to have the test, they don't have the test anymore. Um, in terms of your military time, you can get that back. You do have to buy it back. So, like, say somebody like me, for instance, I have 21 years. Brought my military time back. I have 24 years. So that what that does is that makes you 6 years away from 30 to where you can retire. Plus, it helped me. I didn't have to buy my military time back to get my leave ahead of everybody else. So like me and another guy started on the same day. He had 3 weeks of vacation for like a year or two. I started off with like a month, and then within a year or two, I had 5 weeks. Which is the max that they give you. But yeah, there's some benefits of for sure. Federal employment, any kind of federal job, you're gonna it's gonna be a benefit for you to be a veteran. So that's 100% a benefit. And in terms of a lesson, that's something we didn't say, but just in terms of a lesson, I'm just sitting here thinking about what kind of lesson would I say that I have learned? What was the number one lesson that I learned in the military? What would the number one lesson be that I would say that I learned in the military? First and foremost, probably definitely taught me how to be independent. I grew up out there, became a man in the service. One thing is for sure is when you were in the Navy, man, that's it. You're on your own. Mama and pop ain't there no more. So you got to do it by yourself for yourself. So, and as much as you have your fellow shipmates and your service members, you got to do it yourself, man. So you want to advance in the military, you got to do it yourself, baby. It's a lesson. Self motivation in the service definitely helps you, and so that's something you can take with you wherever you go in life. This idea that be self motivated. To accomplish any goal that you have. You heard Brother Hicks here. He accomplished his goal. Educator now, got his education, all kind of goals that he's scratching off, marking off. So, the bottom line is whatever your goals are in life, the military, that discipline that you get from the military can help you achieve it, But that's if you buy in. It's just like anything else. Some people buy into it and some people don't. Some people come in and, they get something out of it, and some people they don't get a thing out of it. The only thing they get out of it is three hots in the cot and they go home when their time is up. Some people, they learn something and they gain something from it. So I will say it's no different than anything else.
This is true. The greatest benefit I received from it um, is
Lesson.
just the structure.
What's the best
You
lesson?
understand? The lessons?
Best lesson. You learn
Yeah,
anything?
best lesson. Yeah, best thing. Another word for lesson, man. What you, an English teacher up in this motherfucker?
Come
Anyway,
on,
like I
buddy.
said, the
Come
best
on,
thing
buddy.
that I learned um, is dependability.
Yeah.
Okay. My mother, who you had the pleasure of meeting when you came up to Buffalo, always jokes that we were raised punctual. Our whole clan are very timely people. So being timely and punctual as a civilian, the Navy only, or the military in general, any branch, only intensifies that.
Mm-hmm.
So the running joke is in our family, and it's all on Mike. Okay. If Mike's coming by your house at 4, be ready by 3:45. Okay. So punctuality, discipline, accountability, all these things that I did have, the military enhanced. So now, even as we share with you, I believe, either on our other podcast or the video, I'm a retiree. This is my second act. Education is something that was very near and dear to me, especially for inner city youth. Somebody helped me. A bunch of somebody's helped me. Okay, so I interviewed, and I shared this with my brothers, and I shared with the party people. I interviewed for a job, another job in the Buffalo Public Schools. They wound up referring me to 3 positions in the one interview. Okay, so I recently heard from the employer. They emailed me yesterday and said, Mr. Hicks, we're really impressed with your resume, interview, and experience, but we don't have a placement for you. However, we do want to refer you to another department in which you are really a ground troop, basically, in the schools. So I do have an interview next Friday for a program called Say Yes here in Buffalo, New York. Um, which is a career coach. And I told the young lady who interviewed me initially, who referred me to this job, I said, I think this is more my speed based on the fact that I've worked 32 years somewhere. I am a military veteran. You know what I mean? So work, discipline, responsibility was more in my wheelhouse. So military always stands out in your resume, whatever you want to do. Okay. If you combine that with education or life skills or what have you, when a person, an employer, an HR manager sees U.S. Army, U.S. Navy, U.S. Air Force, U.S. Marines, U.S. Coast Guard, I'm not going to say Space Force because they ain't real. But anyway, when they see that, it says something. So one of the article that I read earlier, Don, they were saying that parents of these possible or potential recruits are the deterrent, because the stigma is once you go into the military, you come out never the same person. What do you say to that?
I agree, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's a good thing, and
That's right.
because it's going to
But
make you
they're
more
focusing on
independent.
the negative.
Yeah,
They're
you
focusing
focus
on
on
the
the
negative.
negative. Definitely. I mean, you want to stay home and be in the nanny state, or you want to grow up and get out there on your own. And fortunately, there's some, unfortunately, you look at it, there's some lessons that you got to learn on your own. You're not going to learn
On
them.
the fly.
Yeah, you're not going to learn them at home. Just
No,
like you go to college and learn. Believe me, you go to military, you're going to learn some lessons. I promise you that. I
that's
promise
right.
you.
That's
I
right.
promise you. You're going to learn some
That's right.
lessons. So don't let anybody
That's right.
tell you that going into the military, you're not going to learn anything, because good, bad, or indifferent, you're going to learn, and it will change your life. And I think for the most part, those of us, I think the majority of us would say it changed our life for the better. I really
Without
believe that.
question.
I believe that 100%.
Without question.
We've been going at it for a while here. I'm just looking at the thing. So yeah, so and what's crazy, as we sitting here talking, there's so much meat on the bone on this thing, man.
We haven't even touched
That
upon
we
the
ain't even touched
foreign
it.
ports that we visit.
Yeah,
You know, we
there's
haven't
just
touched
so
upon the
much.
the foolishness that we
Oh
participated in.
man,
Listen, we've got a whole video novel that we can tell you people. And what we'll do is we'll save that for another time, of
yeah,
course.
absolutely. And
But some of the places that we visited, we'll never pay cash money to visit those places again. But it's
amen.
in our head, it's in our hearts. We've been there.
Yep, yep. Been around this whole world, and I think as we move forward, hopefully we'll be able to get some of our Navy brothers on here periodically. So, we'll try to get them on here, and
Awesome.
we'll talk
So,
about.
Don, before we go,
Mhm.
what would you suggest for the young people if we happen to catch any young people here in the internet world? What would you tell them about joining the military and taking advantage of what they offer?
I would just say, if you're a person, you say I'm not a college person, and you say you don't know what you want to do with your life in terms of like job, the military is a great option for you. It's a great option for you. First and foremost, you get to go in and defend your country. I know that might sound hokey to some people, but it's the reality. You get a chance to go in there and get some money for college, and you'll be able to get the VA loan. And there's some, like I said, there's so many different benefits to it. But you'll also be able to be a part of that brotherhood that we talked about earlier. And that brotherhood, you'll have that for the rest of your life. Brotherhood and sisterhood. You know, I have a young cousin. She went into the Marines right around the time my son graduated. So she came out in 2010, and she's been in ever since. And she made a career out of it. Now she's done advanced, and I don't know what the Marine rankings are, but she's up there, and she loves it. I think she's stationed now, right? I want to say I think she's out in California, so maybe possibly
Okay.
Camp Pendleton. Yeah, but
Yeah.
she's been all over. She was stationed in Japan for a few years. She loved it out there. Trying to go back. Heck, she was trying to go back to the Middle East, but I think that thing's over. I'm not sure, but she loved it out there as well. So hey,
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah, she grew up out there. She became independent. She developed an identity. You can do that in the military. You can do that, and I recommend it. For me, it was the best thing I ever did. I'm glad that I just didn't get out and, just become aimless. Because I don't know that necessarily I was going to go to school. So I'm glad I decided to do this. And you can do both. You can go to military and you can go to school, as you can see with Mike. So you have that option as well. So listen, it's not my branch, but they do say it. Be all you can be. I'm not gonna say it. Be all you can be in the Navy. That's not what we say, but I'm gonna use it. Be all you can be in the Navy. It's a great
It's
branch.
not just a job, it's an adventure.
That's right, in the Navy.
That's us, right? That's Navy, right?
Hey, listen, you see the top grossing movie of the year. You know what it was, wasn't it? It wasn't even a Marvel flick. I believe it was Top Gun. So that just tells you, you know.
There you go. So, yeah, for me personally, I would tell the young people, um, listen, if you're lost, you can be found in the military, man.
Mm-hmm.
Young ladies, young men, listen, okay? There are many of us who come from certain backgrounds, certain socioeconomic, economic backgrounds, where you feel hopeless. You see mom, you see, dad, if you're fortunate enough to see both. But if you're unfortunate enough to see struggle, you wonder how you won't be a burden to them because they're already struggling. Um, the military for me was number one, a financial decision. Like I said, in high school, I was a pretty solid football player, and I could have went to a junior college and played and seen where it went. Um, is there some regret for that? A little bit, but it's overshadowed by the fact that I went into the military, served my country, received these great benefits, met great friends, lifelong friends. Matter of fact, I'm doing, like I said, this podcast that you see, I'm with a guy that I was in the military with. Basically, we weren't on the same, we were on the same ship, but we didn't serve at the same time. But we're brothers. We're brothers, okay? Um, if you're athletes out there, don't be discouraged about not getting a scholarship, because if you're good enough in a certain sport, be it track, anything, basketball, whatever, the military has all Navy, all Army, all Marine, has all these teams. If you're a boxer, you can become a boxer, and you can basically buy your enlistment out becoming a professional boxer. So there are things that you can do. And guess what? If you get hurt, as my man Don can attest to, if you get hurt and they determine that you have lost a percentage of that activity in your limbs or whatever it may be, they will pay you for the rest of your life.
Okay.
So, what I'm saying to young people, if you're lost, get found in the military. It happens. It happens. We don't work for the Navy because they don't pay us. But as a courtesy to that organization we belong to, hey, military saved my life. I can say that. Salute.
Yes, sir. It's
All
definitely.
right. That's all I got, brother. But anyway, great show. Hopefully the party people listen. We will definitely be spreading the word. As a matter of fact, when you see this, please spread the word. We're just two guys in our middle ages, just trying just trying to spread some love and some cheer and some positivity. You will very rarely get negativity on this show. We're just all about having a good time. This is something that we both love. We just happen to hook up because we're in the same fraternity, and we'll see what happens. But again, what do you say, Don? Like, what else,
Subscribe,
bro?
follow.
Subscribe and follow. Those three, the big three. All right, do that for us. Spread the word, because as time goes on. Oh, before we go, Don knows. I told him I'm a part of a singing group now. We haven't gotten a title. We don't have a name, but we're going to be doing little cafes and happy hours and things like that. So when I said as time goes on, it reminds me of the Chicago song "Color My World." That's one of the ones we do, and it goes a little something like this: As time goes on,
Uh-oh.
I realize just what you mean to me. Now I'll sing the rest if you subscribe.
All right, my brother.
My brother, it's been a pleasure, man. And hey, man, I love this show, man. I love what we're doing. And of course, I love you.
Love you back, brother. Stay positive, my man.
All right. So go ahead, set us up, and I'll knock it out the park.
Hey, the only thing I got to say to you is peace.
Well, for Don, the man who's never silly, that's actually from Philly, this is Mike, from the low. And this is the Underway Podcast. Love you. Can't get enough of you. See ya on the other side.
Go Navy.
3, 2, hey, go Navy, baby. Beat Army.